Welcome back to Roughing It.
An unreliable car battery was not going to stop us, but it was going to shape the rest of the journey. We traveled across New Hampshire, through the mountains of Vermont, and back into New York, with a stop in Rochester. Skylar was not the happiest to be leaving her adopted home state of Maine and all her #1 fans. The disappointment would not last long, though. With a view of one of the most remarkable, awe-inspiring natural wonders in North America, Skylar found new people to adore her. Niagara Falls. It is the largest producer of electricity for the state of New York, outputting a phenomenal 2.7 gigawatts, enough to power 3.8 million homes. And that's just the American side. Combined with the Canadian side, its wattage nearly doubles. With a 167-foot drop, Niagara Falls was the largest hydropower facility in the Western world at one time. Its name is collective of the 3 waterfalls that straddle the international border between the Canadian province of Ontario and the U.S. state of New York. These waterfalls, Horseshoe, American, and Bridal Veil, create the highest flow rate of any waterfall on the planet. You can purchase a ticket for the shuttles that go between the various sites, but pets are not allowed on the trolleys. Tickets are sold to the various attractions like the Cave of the Winds and Maid of the Mist boat tour. You can also buy an adventure pass to see all of them. Pets are not allowed. Otherwise, you can walk around the park for free and enjoy the sights. Many people and things have gone over the falls. The mortality rate for attempts is approximately 25%. The first recorded person to survive going over the falls was school teacher Annie Edson Taylor, who went over in a barrel in 1901 and spent the rest of her life warning people never to try it. Best to enjoy the falls behind the safety lines.
Walking around Niagara Falls with the unsettling vibration of its power under our feet and the spray of impact sent many meters into the air is an ongoing reminder of how powerful the forces of nature are, how small and mortal we are in comparison.
And that over there is Canada.
Continuing on, I considered taking a route through Canada.
Tip number 1.
To pass the border, dogs must have a certification of rabies shots. Check regulations beforehand. Don't forget, Canada is not the 51st state of the U.S. Pack your passport for yourself as well. While I brought all the necessary documentation and passport to cross the border, I ultimately decided this was a trip of the United States. So, we remained within her borders.
Skylar enjoyed Niagara Falls and perked up for more adventure to come.
Time and money were growing short, as was how long I could stretch travel on a dying car battery. I was going to have to sacrifice spending quality time in places along the way. We passed through the other end of Pennsylvania,
Ohio! There is Cleveland.
across Ohio. Ohio is a pretty interesting place, with the Amish population being the highest in the country.
Okay, we are in Ohio right now, and seriously, it looks like the ocean.
The Great Lakes make up 84% of North America's surface freshwater and span 750 miles east to west.
It's so vast, it could be an inland sea if it were saltwater.
To drive around them, it's 6,500 miles, 8 U.S. states, and 1 Canadian province. The lakes contain more than 35,000 islands, and shipping dominates the waters, hauling 125 million tons of cargo per year. With all that shipping, many vessels have met their ends here, producing a popular spot for scuba divers.
Oh, and I think we just crossed into Indiana too. This is what Indiana looks like, mostly farmland, so I might not be wrong. Indiana!
Chicago is another favorite, rivaling New York City in pizza and theater. It is a city unto itself, and a lot of fun. Wisconsin might be known for its cheese, but currently it is the highest producer of cranberries in the country.
Remember toll roads? Tip number 2. Carry cash and coins.
And then sometimes you've been on the road for 3 hours, 3 days, I don't even know, and you just pay it. Hello.
It's pretty near impossible to cover the distance we needed to cover in the time we needed to cover it without taking toll roads.
Just take the ticket and take the toll road, because you want to get there. My hair. Ah!
Bad hair or not, we crossed into Minnesota.
If you want to talk about lakes, Minnesota is known as the land of 10,000 lakes.
After 3 days of driving, like, I don't know, we've gone over 1,000 miles at least. We've gone from Maine to Minnesota in 3 days. Some mornings you just have to take them a little bit slower than others.
Tip number 3.
The hours on the road can start to get long.
Remember audiobooks?
Here are my top 7 things to do on long stretches of the road.
Music playlists like iTunes or Spotify. Hey Siri, play some music. Bombastic. Podcasts.
There are links to some of my favorites in the notes.
Call a friend or a relative. Call somebody you haven't talked to in a long time. Meditation with your eyes open. News applications like NPR or BBC. There are many news apps on the market for listening. Links to my favorites are in the notes. Learn a language or brush up on a language that you already know. Ho bisogno di praticare il mio italiano.
Piace fare nel tuo tempo libero? Nel mio
Piace
tempo
fare.
libero
Sing. I'll spare you the audio file. Absolutely nothing but driving. All of this needs to be done safely. Tip number 4. It's important to drive hands-free because you don't want to die. Use voice commands. With all those activities, you don't want to crash. Try to use things like Siri or Bluetooth controls if your car has them.
Bluetooth audio. Please say a command.
If you do have to drive long distances, make sure that you don't get tired. Pull over and rest if you have to rest.
I made some coffee with the jet boil. Skylar is chewing on her sticks. What are you doing? Skylar found a baby bird in the grass, which she's gonna leave alone, aren't you? Look at the ball. I just want to say I like that Minnesota is cold and that the coffee is black.
South Dakota is named after two American Indian tribes, the Lakota and Dakota Sioux. When the Sioux tribe invaded and seized the land sometime in the 1700s, it became known as the Dakota Territory. Upon statehood in 1889, the area was divided into North and South Dakota. The state is diverged by the Missouri River, creating two socially and geographically distinct territories. West of the Missouri, ranching is predominant. To the east, farming. There are the rolling prairies to one side, and to the other, the startling mountains of the Black Hills. It's where the Midwest meets the West, and scattered throughout are Indian reservations. American Indian history runs deep here. There are 9 indigenous tribes that call South Dakota home, each with distinct cultures and languages. This is the place where America's manifest destiny crashed violently with the people who inhabited the area. Through a combination of disease, war, and population displacement, the indigenous populations dwindled through the 1800s. Gold mining and European expansion triggered multiple Indian wars that ended with the Wounded Knee Massacre in 1890. Those who survived were sent to reservations. Now, approximately 72,000 American Indians live in the state. The reservations are open to visitors.
I don't know what the time is exactly, but we're right on the edge of the Badlands, and that's where we're going next. Prepare for departure.
Our National Park Pass gained us entry, otherwise it does cost to enter. The National Park Service describes it as desolation at its truest, where you can look for miles and see no sign of civilization. Archaeology is in abundance, as it is one of the world's greatest fossil beds. Mammoth remains, as well as other Ice Age mammals, are in high concentration here. On the grassland prairies portion of the park, protected wildlife roams in growing numbers. The Lakota named the area Badland, and so it became the Badlands. It can't be that bad. The area has changed hands many times, from the Cheyenne to the Lakota to an invasion of gold miners, and before European settlement, there's archaeological evidence of more hostile takeovers throughout the ages. It's not hard to see why. The area is hypnotic and seemingly infinite. There's a treacherous quality too. Spend a few hours there and the weirdness starts to feel normal and makes everything normal feel weird. The impossible hues make you wonder why the place isn't named Rainbow Maze Wonderland. It's a place that's been mercilessly beaten by wind, water, and weather, but has come out as something beautiful. There's much to explore, with hiking trails, caves, mines, towering spires, and plummeting sinkholes. Pets are allowed in this vast 380 square mile park. You can walk, bike, or drive the region, but you won't see everything. Underground are 2 of the longest cave systems in the world, coming in at roughly 140 and 170 miles. There are roughly 15 overlooks and 8 trailheads. If you don't want to see it on foot, take the I-90 going east and take exit 110 for the Badlands Loop State Scenic Byway. John Steinbeck wrote in Travels with Charlie, "It was so beautiful that I stopped near a thicket of dwarfed and wind-warped cedars and junipers, and once stopped, I was caught, trapped in color and dazzled by the clarity of the light.
Against the descending sun, the battlements were dark and clean-lined, while to the east, where the uninhibited light poured slantwise, the strange landscape shouted with color.
There are paid campgrounds as well as free dispersed camping in some areas.
Along with humans, dogs have been inhabiting the area as well. While there may not have been many people for Skylar to greet in the Badlands, there were mountains to climb and trails to explore. Skylar felt that homegrown Midwestern grass under her paws and rejoiced. The various tribes throughout the nation, from the Algonquins to the Navajo to the Cheyenne, are very much a part of the cultural fabric that makes up the United States. Along with the other ingredients of this melting pot of a people, the American Indian is tied to the American identity as a whole. To the west, the Black Hills are neither black nor hills, but a mountain range that are so named because from a distance, the trees give it a dark complexion. We ventured into those Black Hills to our next stop, perhaps the most famous mount of them all. Find out what it is in next episode.